back, I was telling you about that NASA building that produced the vapor cloud in the BBC documentary
I do
that
remember
got censored down.
talking about that. Yep.
Right. I found some better ones, both of that particular building and a couple other ones, including one in NASA's. I guess they're saying it's a rocket cooling system that they spray water on, but it produces a cloud vapor, and that cloud vapor can actually produce thunderstorms.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Um, I haven't really been keeping up on the news or what's going on, but I
Oh,
remember
I haven't been either. This is total just total
you come
research that you got me started on down that rabbit hole a while back with you and Dirty Water talking about harp and all that stuff.
HAARP. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that goes back a decade,
Oh yes, no doubt it
like
does.
maybe more. I forget, but the thing I see lots of without watching the news, just looking at Instagram and what I mean is all the UFO sightings. Right, they're everywhere all day long. I mean, if you really spent your time looking at it, you'd have something new to look at every
Oh
12
no,
hours.
no doubt. But Mal, this stuff right here has me thinking on a bigger level for the past couple of days. I've even reached out. I've talked to people offline once again to see their perception, and they kind of agree with me because I got to be honest. You know me, and right off the bat, me being a Christian, I place my faith above all else. You know what I mean? However, on this particular issue, because these scientists in these little mini clips, like when I attach this to it later, it'll all make sense.
Yep.
They bring up some good points, but I find myself in that Musk atmosphere. I see the potential for it to help in places like on this map over here of the whole globe of Africa in starvation areas of drought. If they could create thunderstorms like they recently did in Dubai, I
Yep.
believe it was in 2015 or 2016, they created a lightning storm. Now, if
Now
they
that
can
rings a
actually figure
bell.
out this,
That rings a bell. Vaguely, I remember something about that. And it was known to people, wasn't it? It
mhm,
wasn't something they were hiding. They were
it was on the
showing.
news.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yep.
Okay, see, this is where I'm going with this. So I see the potential of it can help humanity. Also, though, I see the weaponization of it, just like some other clips. See, I found out that the Central Intelligence Agency, one of the first primary missions that they had was weather manipulation.
Yep.
You get what I mean?
Yep.
So this could be potentially a great thing, and this could be potentially a highly dangerous thing. Let me put it like this. Now, I don't know if this clip is 100% that I use. It was from the History Channel, but it could have been one of the conspiracy file things. I'm not too sure. It was like a 3-minute clip that I got.
Right.
But I found it interesting whenever they said that during, I forget which war it was. I want to say Vietnam. They actually used weather tech to cause flooding to flood out the enemy. And that
I,
got me thinking of the danger side of it.
you know, I've never heard that before, but certainly when you see something like a tsunami, I
They,
mean,
yeah,
if you could control that, imagine what a weapon that could be. You
right.
know.
I mean, and this is everybody wants to talk about green earth. They want to talk about clean energy. How is weather manipulation exactly clean? They're talking about launching now. Granted, silver onyx, the type of silver onyx that they're talking about, is not necessarily harmful on a massive scale, but it has been rumored to be harmful to the ocean environment. Okay, so when they're launching these particles to protect us from atmosphere, from heat, and all that other stuff, like you heard Bill Gates talking about. It turns out that's what Bill Gates and all those people were talking about, was launching, and I forget how to say it exactly because of the chemical compound, but it's silver monoxide or something like that. They launch it. It's a particle, and they launch it into the atmosphere. And they're saying that if they launch enough of it, it will cause a layer of protection from the sun,
Now,
protect
is
us from.
that is that something to do with what people call chemtrails and stuff? Like,
It's along the same lines of research that's included in it too.
right,
I did come across a pilot's mail that said that a lot of the conspiracy theories about chemtrails are false. However, I came across some environmentalists, however, that brought us some interesting things by saying that jets are used. The problem is the amount of travel that's going on into the airways. It's not necessarily that the water that they're producing, because yes, it's water that they're producing, and they're massive amounts of gallons on a plane.
Yep.
But when you multiply the amounts of planes and air traffic and the
Really?
release of these gases with the water, now where is that going? That's staying into the clouds, and then that's getting rained on, and that's coming back onto the ground.
Right.
That's the environmental issue that people are often talking about.
Yep.
Do you get what
Well,
I'm saying?
I can remember we must be going back, well, to the beginning of COVID. Remember when all the planes were grounded? I
Right.
forget who it was. I'm tempted to say maybe it was Dino. I could be wrong, though. I
Mm.
could be wrong. Someone said, "Oh, check out this site, and it'll show you how many planes are currently in the air."
You're talking.
While all the planes are grounded, and we're talking far many more than you could possibly count.
Mhm.
Like the map just had dots everywhere.
And the trails are being released into the clouds. See, the issue is this: like, it boils down to population usage of the devices. Okay, that's, to me, that's ultimately where the argument withstands, because you have the commercialized aspect of it. They're saying, look, this is a natural thing. It's H2O that we're releasing. That's vapor that we're releasing into the clouds, right? But what environmentalists are saying is the amount of air traffic for commercial use, not even including government use, but the amount of air traffic alone
Yep.
and the releases of it is the issue.
Well, that's why I bring up. Maybe it wasn't Dino, but whoever it was that said, "Look at this site; it'll show you all the traffic in the air." While planes were grounded, I couldn't fly to America at that time.
Mm.
We grounded all our flights. The amount of stuff, cargo and mail, and that, it was just unbelievable. So you think, how much must there be on a normal day when the normal citizen can fly to wherever they want, and how many flights that takes?
I
Uh,
mean, and how many don't we know about? Do you
well,
get what I'm
really,
saying?
it
And
must
I
be
get that, and I
amazing.
get all of that. You get what I'm saying? Ultimately, that's something that the global community would have to come together and say, look, maybe we don't need to fly as much. Maybe we don't need it to, but that's going to go with everybody pushing for all of these different green gas vehicles. But you know what? Here's the thing: you need some type of gas and some type of chemical compounds to power all of this stuff. In fact, the batteries and the minerals that they mine for, that power these green energy cars, are extremely toxic. They don't even know. Environmentalists, scientists right now don't know what to do with the vehicles once they're no longer good, because they're highly toxic for the environment.
Now, I'm not saying this is correct. This is just I just put in how many aeroplanes are in the sky right now. Right?
Mm.
It says depending on the time of day or time of year, there could be anywhere from 8,000 to 20,000 planes mid-flight at any given moment, according to Flight Radar 24, which keeps track of flights in real time.
Mm.
8,000 to 20,000. I mean, it's the same thing as we talk about. I guess an environmental
Isn't
person
it
would.
supposed to be something like something like 600 gallons each plane produces of
I,
water vapor or something?
I have no idea. I've
I mean,
never.
and that's the thing. I'm not that big into chemtrails. I was hoping that we would get people listening in that could chime in on that, because I'm not that smart about that area yet. I'm just now starting to look into all this.
Yep.
The more aspect of it that I was interested in is the potential that it could actually harm us and could be beneficial to us. It's like the ultimate ego check.
I'm
You give
listening, mate. I'll be moving away from the camera, but I can
You're
hear
fine.
you.
I'm gonna go to light this up.
Please keep going. I won't
Do we have anybody in here yet?
Yeah, hold on. We have 5 viewers.
Okay. So, like I was saying, Mal, it's almost like, how do we know for sure that the people manufacturing it aren't going to develop the God complex and misuse the tech? It's kind of like, I trust Musk, but I don't necessarily trust the people investing in Elon Musk's company ideas, because I don't know what the people investing long term plans are for the technology. Hello to anyone that's still watching. Bear with us real quick. Mel had to go do something. I haven't seen anybody type anything yet, so, but that's the topic of the conversation is environmental tech, and we still got a lot more to go into on it. Hey, there you are.
Yes, mate, I could hear you. If I go away from the camera, I could still.
Oh no, it's fine. It's just how I am, you know. But see, and that's the thing is, how do we know that the people investing in it? You know, I'll give you an idea. Take Big Bang Theory, the show me and my wife watch often.
Yep.
They did some research, and the military was interested in the technology they were developing, and they were concerned about the same thing. And the military guy told them, "That's easy for you. Don't be concerned about it." You know what I mean? And that's my thing is, as an inventor, as an artist, you can have the best intention behind something and have potential to help somebody, but that's not going to stop somebody from trying to manipulate it. And here's the other thing: all this weather manipulation that they're doing in the atmosphere is already changing our atmosphere. I actually think that is, but that could be potentially why we're seeing so many different weather patterns that they're saying are unusual.
Well, isn't that funny? I was gonna say to you, officially here, summer starts December 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was a kid, my birthday is November 18th. By by November 18th, when I was a kid, it was
Mm-hmm.
always hot. Now, anyone who's lived 40 years plus can see
Right.
that has changed. Like on November 18th now, you might be wearing coats and jackets.
Mm.
The weather definitely, like it was the end of October that we had that massive, all the damage I showed you that
Oh
was
yeah,
done.
not too long ago. True.
Yeah. So all you've got to be is old enough to have seen enough summers arrive, and anyone can see that. But funnily enough, it was low key who I
Right.
was talking to on his stream recently, and I said, "Oh, how's winter for you?" Because Mayhem sends me pictures of snow, and
Oh,
it's
I mean, and that's the thing. Like today, check where I'm at. We're supposed to be in, and we were in the 60s today. By Wednesday or Thursday, we have another cold front moving in.
well, 60's a pretty nice day, isn't it, Mike?
It is, but keep in mind, in just a couple days, in 2 or 3 days, we're having another cold front. We just got done with
Right.
one.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say to you, I thought as I was driving around, because you see the weather go from, here I am in shorts and short sleeves and that, and
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly it's very dark, the wind is cold, not freezing. I don't mean it's freezing cold, but you wouldn't call it a nice summer day.
Mm.
And I do live in a part of Australia, they say our weather is schizophrenic, you
Right.
know, and
That's
it is.
Oklahoma, where I live at. It's the bipolar section of North America.
Yeah, well. So I'm not speaking for all of Australia. Clearly, if you're up north, I'm sure it's hot still. But at least where I live, and I don't think you can be much closer to the South Pole without being in either New Zealand or Tasmania. Um, like you can see a real difference in the
Oh yeah.
weather. So I would expect a month from now, perhaps I won't be wearing short sleeves and that. You know me, when it's cold, I'm whinging about my sore back, and the weather really affects me. It's cold weather. don't deal with very well.
Oh, I don't blame you one bit. I don't blame you one bit. Um, but see, and Mal, and that's the other thing is some of these machines that they're talking about. It's really odd to me, and I can see where people are saying that conspiracy people are taking long leaps. Like you take the rocket cooling system, right? The rocket cooling system itself isn't. What's up, G Day? How you doing? The rocket
G'day.
cooling system
G'day.
that.
That's how we say hello, Mike.
Oh,
G'day.
okay.
It's short for good day.
I
G'day.
gotcha.
G'day, mate.
Um, that rocket cooling system, they're saying a lot of people are jumping into conspiracies about because it's just the way they cool it off and the amount of vapor that it produces. But I'm looking at it from like I said, from the aspect of it. And if they're already weather manipulation tech, experimenting with lightning, creating lightning and thunderstorms and rain and all that other stuff. China, they said in the early 2020s, actually tried to solve their drought problem by using artificial snow. It backfired and they flooded in a major way. With
Right.
that said, they recently announced that here pretty soon, and they said that they're hoping to be the first country in the world that be able to control the weather. And the satellite that they're planning to launch is going to be named the River in the Sky.
Yeah. Now, where did I read that? The river in the sky. Was it something you sent me?
It could have been.
Well, I've recently read that the river in the sky. Now, where do you start? If I were in charge of the world, and I never will be,
Mm-hmm.
so we need not worry, I would annihilate China.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone that doesn't, well, I know there's plenty of innocent people there. I like panda bears. I don't want to hurt panda bears, but
It's
I don't.
not. It's not the country you need to look at. It's the rulers. What's going to happen? I
That's
mean, I
right.
was
But
trying to.
countries let those people be rulers, and they've mismanaged their environment for a very, very long time.
They have the Olympics. The Olympic Committee has even said what they're doing to the environment right now for the Winter Olympics. That region of China, their scientists are extremely worried right now about the long term damage it's going to cause environmentally to that area.
If I'd been, if I'd been looking at, and look, it's hard to put yourself in the shoes of someone that lived 100 years ago. They have a whole different frame of reference. But I would not have been half as concerned about Germany as I currently am today about China. You don't you don't want China to have control of anything.
Well,
Okay?
I mean, because that's just it. If they can control the weather, they can manipulate the weather to cause floods. They can manipulate wave technology already right now in your own country, Mal. Granted, it's for good purposes, such as surfing and wave pools and manipulation of waves and reefs.
I recently got an email, mate, asking me, do I want to invest? They had this picture of what it was from
That's
high
probably the one
up.
I'm talking about. It's a massive system that can make up. They say that if they can release it to the public,
It's in
it will
Sydney.
be the largest wave on the face of the earth known to man.
Well, this what I'm talking about from miles above the ground. It looks like a very big swimming pool, but what it is
Yes,
it's
with the
artificial.
seabed, with the concrete barriers around it.
No, there was no concrete. It was all sand. It looked like sand at one end, sand at the other, and the idea is you surf from this end to that end. But it's all artificial. And the email I received was saying, "Do you want to invest in this? This is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a worldwide attraction."
Oh, it
It
is.
it looked like a miniature ocean. You
That's going
had
to be included in this. What we're doing right now.
yeah.
It's going to be included in what we're doing right now. Because I was looking into the ocean and how all this stuff affects the ocean water. You know, because to me, I've always been more fascinated in the ocean life and jungles and woods than I have a lot of other things. You know what I mean? So I never knew this was a thing either. So I'm including it in it as well. Did you ever know that the ocean can form a chessboard?
No, I've
And
never
if
heard.
it does, they say to get out of the water immediately.
What do you mean it can form a
I
chessboard?
mean
What?
the ocean pattern of the wave, and it happens in France. it forms a square pattern like a chessboard.
I've never heard of that.
Mm-hmm. It's like a suction thing.
I'll tell you
It's
what. I'll tell you what I am 100% sure of. It doesn't matter how silly I sound, because people who would argue with me sound even sillier to me.
mm-hmm.
You know how we tag great white sharks so we can track
Yes.
their movements and that? There was one somewhere off the coast of Australia. I'm not sure if it was Queensland or New South Wales or WA. I forget where it was, but they had a tracker on this thing, and suddenly its temperature, where it was in the ocean, it was a certain temperature. Suddenly the temperature went way up, and this thing went and sunk to a depth of the ocean that we could no longer track it, which meant
It was trying to get colder.
something grabbed this thing and took it down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all that could be is a megalodon.
Yes.
For
The ocean life that they're still discovering. I mean, that's the thing that fascinates me about the ocean is the depths of it. They say we've only explored, what is it? I actually forget about the percentage.
5%,
Yeah,
mate.
5% of the ocean. So
Yes,
we have alien life form right there in the water, undoubtedly.
definitely.
Meaning
And
that
then
we don't have it discovered yet.
I use this analogy a lot. If someone suspected me of kidnapping and killing children, they wouldn't search 5% of my house and say all clear, nothing to see here.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
how we talk about the megalodon
Well,
is
see, and
extinct.
Mal, that goes with this other thing is if they've been around this whole time, is it possible that them messing with the weather and weather manipulation technology that they've been doing has been messing with the ocean, been messing with the air, warming up the waters, warming up the air to the point to where all these animals are starting to travel and come to other areas and seeking comfort?
It makes sense. I mean, it seems logical. At its deepest, the ocean is 6 miles deep.
Right.
There's a pyramid 6 miles down on the ocean floor. You've seen all those places where clearly there's things underwater now that were once above water because
Mm-hmm.
there's roads and structures and stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I understand what was up is now is down, and things go
I
back to
mean,
their
and
opposite.
that's the spiritual side of me. Like I always go back to, we shouldn't play God, but at the same time, I believe God gave people unique abilities to be able to solve problems, such as the fact that I can't wake up and perform brain surgery. I've never had that thought process.
Where
I
me
can't.
and you lose each other is
No, I know we
when
do.
you say God, I feel like you're talking about a person or a human with magical powers.
No, I
If
mean,
I say God, I'm talking about everything, the
well,
universe.
in a way, Mal. Like I said, we've gone through this before. When I say Alpha and Omega, creator of the universe, I'm talking about the person that created everything.
Not a person, mate. And if it were a singular, a monotheist type thing, it would be what you'd call an alien
Mm.
because it's not an earthling. So the
Well, no doubt. I mean, he created all life forms. So
he he
I
he.
know, I know. I told you that's just how I view. That's
I
how I
know,
view.
and I'm not mocking you for 1 minute. I'm not. I'm just saying it's like we've got two different definitions of the
No, I
same
know, I
thing.
know. I mean, but back to the lecture at hand. The principle behind what I was saying is even if you look at it, you can't put this type of technology behind these billionaires and expect good results. I just don't see that as a realistic thing. All these people are pushing for a green earth. I mean, honestly, like I just told you earlier, these cars they want to manufacture that Biden wants on the road, those are so hazardous and so toxic that they don't know what to do with them to get rid of them.
What cars are we talking
We're
about?
talking about the green energy cars, the green efficient cars.
Is that electric cars?
Yes, electric cars.
Okay.
Those batteries that they use are so toxic
Lithium.
that they don't know what to do with them to get rid of them.
And it's the same. See, we don't have nuclear power here in Australia. And lots of people say, oh, hey, that's the way to go.
Mm,
Well, like when you create methamphetamine, for every pound of meth you produce, you have 5 pounds of toxic waste.
mm-hmm.
So what do you want to do with that? your nuclear energy, you've got to bury it somewhere.
Mhm.
It's similar
But once
to,
you bury it, it's going to go back into the soil,
of
and
course,
then it's going to harm the environment.
and just like the catacombs of, is it France? The catacombs, you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
Was it France? They
It
run
was
out of
France where
room.
they have the cities underneath, where the bodies and all that. Yeah.
So, so they ran out of room to bury people. So they started using the people's bones as building material. Now, you don't have to look too far into the future before everywhere you step, there'll be a person somewhere beneath your feet.
I mean,
If,
honestly, it's not that uncommon. It's more cities than France, though, too. Sacramento, which the word means sacred,
yeah,
was
Sacrament,
casted
of
on
course.
fire, and it's built in the area to where if you watch like Ghost Adventures, that's one of the best shows that did it, and you can see the two different doorways above you from the different times it flooded, and they didn't know what to do with the bodies and everything, so they just built on top of it.
Now, eventually, all we've got to do, and look, my country, that is roughly the same size as yours, has 10% of the people. So you are in a more dire situation than me. It used to blow my mind to watch Stoner drive from Sacramento to LA, and for 4 hours, he'd be passing wilderness. And I used to think, you have 40 million people.
Mm-hmm.
It's very eye opening to me. He
Yeah.
drove for 4 hours through mountains and open land and all this. And I sit and I think, how's that possible? I mean, we have less than 30 million people in this entire country. We have twice as many kangaroos as people. And people in your country think we ride kangaroos to school. I've had I've had people say, "Go outside and show us a kangaroo,"
Like as if they're like on the side of the road.
as if
Yeah.
they're hopping down the street. And I understand the perception. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get why you'd think that, but it's very, I guess until you've been somewhere, you just don't know. You have your perception. How many Americans do I talk to that say, "Oh, we're scared of spiders, snakes, and crocodiles"? And it's like, hey, I've caught huntsmen's live
Mm-hmm.
on camera and had girls that catch snakes go, "Oh my God, be careful!" It's like, be what?
Well, I mean, and honestly, that's how. In as far as other, if it's Americans you're talking about, our perception is like that even with each other. Like when I first moved from Oklahoma to California in high school, they legit asked me if people still lived in teepees out here, like Native Americans still lived in teepees. You know
See,
what I mean?
that's why I kind of view America similar to Europe in
Mm-hmm.
that I was astounded to learn what there's 200 different languages in Europe. America's very similar with your 50 states. It's like 50 different countries in one
We're
place.
a melting pot. That's why. That's why
I can hear
it's
you, Mike.
disturbing. Right. I mean, and honestly, I wasn't trying to get into. I got to rein it back in the topic here in a minute, Mal, when you get back. But that's what's disturbing about what's going on with my country right now. Is growing up, our country represented freedom and unity. It was a melting pot of many different cultures, regardless of how they came about. In this country was known as a melting pot of many different cultures, all many different languages and shapes and forms and walks of life, all within one nation. And now everybody is so divided that no matter everybody's afraid to express how they feel about things because everybody's just so divided. That's what's disturbing about it to me. G Day, are you still with us, bro?
Yes, mate. Yes, mate. Another. where I'm wrong there in that same thing, my perception of America, the way many Americans view, oh, I wouldn't go to Australia, the spiders, the snakes,
Hmm.
etc. I have that feeling about guns. Like I do see how you laugh, mate. We have a story here, my friend. That guy who got shot, he was a baseball player,
Hmm.
and he was Australian. He went to America, and he was just jogging. He was going for a jog, and the kids that shot him, whoever fired the gun, was just doing that to prove something to the others. They shot him.
And I understand that, but I'll tell you this: an armed society is a polite society.
Yeah, well, I've
And
heard that said many a time, and I can see the point. I
I mean,
can.
honestly, Mel, I'll put it like this. I'll give you a better scenario. Not too long ago, and I want to say it was my state, but it could have been Texas, one of the two. But at any rate, somebody was proceeding to rape a woman, right, in broad daylight outside of a gas station. A good Samaritan with a gun placed the person under citizen's arrest until the cops got there.
Now, I understand, and he can do that because he's armed.
Right.
So I totally, totally understand that. And I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't. We've gone too far one way. I feel that you guys have gone too far the other.
I
Just,
mean,
just
and I get what you're saying. I'm not gonna, none of us that support guns are gonna sit here and tell you logically that everybody with a gun is a good person. But I'll tell you this: majority of gun owners are good intentions behind them, and uh, wouldn't hurt somebody unless they were in harm's way or protecting somebody.
and I'm
And
sure you're
I would
right.
prefer people to have guns than without them.
Well, I can totally understand that. I really can.
You
I,
know,
I, I wouldn't argue with you. All I'd say to you is, as much as I'd like to have a gun, I don't want to shoot anyone.
right?
I don't. But as much as I'd like to have the right to have a gun, I'm glad all the other idiots that live in this street don't have that right.
Hmm.
Like a license to drive a car, I'd prefer you had to do something to earn that
Well, I
privilege.
mean, and honestly, these politicians right now, they're working on House bills right now to actually eliminate the guns to the point of caliber size. I want to say being 8 millimeter. I believe I read is going to build. It's going to barrier. It's going to basically boil down to the millimeter size and caliber size, as well as they're going to make it harder for people to get gun ammunition, such as for fireworks, as well for gun manufacturing and bullets and such. So, if that passes, that essentially would unarmed a lot of people.
Well, in a country that has had so many school shootings, I'm kind of surprised that it's
You
taken
know,
so long because
that's one of the
COVID.
conspiracy theories that I actually have wondered about if there's some truth in it. If politicians aren't behind some of these and setting them up to make it easier for gun control.
Well, I'll tell you one thing COVID's done is it's slowed down school shootings, has it? Has it not? In the last 2 years,
Right after COVID restrictions were lifted, there was a school shooting that was with an African American teenager who was arrested and let go and then had a party afterwards.
I never even heard about this.
Exactly. Hardly nobody did.
Whereas usually, be it Columbine or whatever, whichever, usually a school shooting is major news that unless you were deaf and blind,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't avoid hearing about it. But
Oh, I mean, and me and my wife are like I told you before. I know we're on different spiritual backgrounds, but we were reading and we got to a part and we were talking about stuff similar to that and about how it's getting to the point in society right now to where how could you tell the difference between a stripper and a prostitute? You remember back in when we were younger, You could tell the difference between a hooker, a stripper, and a regular woman. You know what I mean? Even if the woman wanted to get some the way she dressed, right? You can still tell the difference. But now you have mothers and daughters walking around together looking like strippers or hookers and feeling like they're cute for doing it. We're getting to a point in society right now to where you might as well just have sex in the street. I mean, in San Francisco, they're literally taking dumps on the city street.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we're at that point in society, and then we're going back to because I'm running out of time. We're going back to the point of this episode. Um, where now they have these rich people basically trying to create artificial intelligence to what of the tech they have looks like a gun, Mal, and it's like a bunch of pistons that fires away. You know what I mean? To be able to control the weather. This stuff is all different types of tech that you're going to see at the end of this, like when I put it together and release it. And on top of that, you already have them doing mind control too. That's something else that I found a Indian news station ran a news article that was talking about a recent experiment that China did that they're saying is an experiment of massive mind control on their population, on a certain population. You know what I mean? So now we're dealing with warfare both in germ technology, biotechnology, weather manipulation, and mental manipulation. This is the era of World War III we're fixing to get into.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is where we've let ourselves, as a global society, lose point of focus. Whatever you want to believe in, whatever you want to do, in whatever walk of life you are, it matters not. We've let ourselves go astray to the point to where we haven't noticed that these world leaders are doing this stuff globally. Riddle me this, just such as this meme I posted earlier said. How is it they could freeze bank accounts for all kinds of crimes, but yet pedophiles don't
Yes.
get frozen?
Isn't it incredible? I
This is
mean,
the point of society to where we're at. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm telling people now, you better wake up and pay attention to what these scientists are really doing. Because not only are they messing with our weather, which is I guarantee you, is gonna have long term effects, and I'm gonna prove that with this bonus features I'm about to attach to this at the end of this. Not only are they doing that, messing with our weather, putting chemicals into all kinds of things, they're playing God with artificial intelligence now. They're messing with people's heads and boasting about it. And we have politicians. I'll never forget it last year. That one politician in New York, in her campaign speech, when he said citizens, or she said, citizens, you need to put down your crosses and pick up your COVID crosses and be my disciples. I said, what more do you need to know about what time period of world history we're getting ready to go into?
it's frightening.
You get what I mean? Because you
Yep.
still don't hear people talking about that one that much. I mean, honestly, I covered so much news over the past couple years. I almost had a mental breakdown not too long ago.
Yep.
You get what I mean? Um, this stuff, what we're getting ready to go into, is not good. It's poisonous and it's toxic on every single level, from emotional to mental to our health and to our well being. Nobody's paying attention to it because they're too distracted by everything that's going on. You get what I mean?
It's very true. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a sad reality, but that's the reality that we're going into, and that's why I tell people so much recently. Whatever you might believe in, whatever stuff that you like to do, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, whether it be your faith, whatever it is, find your happiness. Because when I said in my last episode, Mal, I looked at the camera and I said, because I could tell you this, things aren't looking good. Did I lie?
Fuck no. No, of course not.
You get what I mean? We have China getting ready to move in on every single different direction. Japan just now announced that they're getting ready to be ready for whatever global conflict will happen. You have Russia getting ready to move into Ukraine. You have China scrambling out NATO ships. You have cyber warfare going on left and right. You have all of this pedophilia propaganda, LGBT propaganda, trans propaganda, teachers turning against students and teachers turning against parents. The amount of parents getting arrested for assaults against kids right now is phenomenal to me. Um, it's insanity what's going on.
Very true.
There's no other word to describe it, man. If you're not a Christian, I go to sin and all kinds of other words. But because you're not, the only word that I could use to describe it is we've let ourselves get distracted by the technology and by all these devices and all this other stuff to the point to where we've allowed society to get to this point. I mean,
Well,
now they're doing other stuff too. Remember, not too long ago when we were growing up, they were talking about cloning
yep.
and cloning people and with the
Golden
sheeps and
Retriever.
all that. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't hear them talking about that too often anymore either.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? You hear all these rich people talking about, oh, we'll have the technology to be able to go to other planets. Well, do you think that these rich people are going to let us average people go to these other planets? No,
You're not going to be able to afford it. Yeah.
no. They want to say the Earth is heating up and we got to find life on other planets and what planets are sustainable for life. They're not talking about us. They're talking about the bankers and the politicians and the royalty people and the oil tycoons. They're not talking about us. That's the
So
reality.
I've got to assume you wouldn't advise your son to have children.
No, I mean, I believe in the sanctity of human life. So I believe that human life is crucial to continue no matter what until, in my belief system, until my God comes back. You get what I mean? So I'm not going to say that. What I'm saying is we got to continue to educate our children into the principles that we were brought up with. So I'm bringing my kids, I'm raising my sons and my daughter in my faith, and I'm raising them to what I believe and what's right. I control what they watch on TV. We control how much they're allowed to be on their tablets and devices. You know what I mean? We don't really allow them to go to that many places, so we control what they're doing majority of the time. We're very proactive in them, and that's the only way to combat this type of stuff. They're trying to destroy the nuclear family for a reason, Mal.
I guess where we differ so much is that if anyone's waiting for a god to come back,
Mm-hmm.
I look at World War II and ask why didn't he come back then? Was that not horrific enough?
Well, I
What are
mean,
you?
I can't answer. I can't answer. That's a loaded question. I can't answer, and we both know that.
Well, is it loaded or is it just a question? Because there's been plenty of horrific things happen. We
Well,
can go to
because it
Genghis
depends on
Khan.
how. It really depends on how you look at it. Because I go with the fact that we have the ability to live in flesh or the ability to live for God. Do you get what I mean? A lot of people choose to live in the flesh. The
So,
flesh is power tripping. The flesh just goes hand in hand with war.
so the Genghis Khan's victims or the victims of World War II, were they doing something wrong? Why weren't they saved?
I mean, I can't answer that either.
No one can. And when I drive past a trailer with the word Jesus saves written on it and I look at it and scoff,
No, I mean he does. He saves in many different ways. I believe if more people actually were active in whatever phase that they had, including mine, I do believe a lot of the issues would go away. But sadly, in my faith, it says in these times that we're getting ready to go into, it describes exactly what I just said earlier. It said that fathers will turn against sons, mothers will turn against daughters, people will commit sodomy, there will be filth in the street. Nations will rise against nations. Kingdoms will rise against kingdoms. There will be
Well,
disease. There will be famine. There will be
we have all that.
earthquakes.
We have all that. Where is he?
You get what I'm saying? There's more to come. You
So,
get what I mean? There's even worse stuff to come.
so how bad does it have to get before you say your God has failed?
I will never say he's failed.
Well, there's our difference because I'll declare that already. And it doesn't mean we have to be enemies or have an argument.
No, that's what I was, ironically before I have to end this, um, I just had a conversation where I brought up Enoch just the other night at work. I was talking to a younger server. You know what I mean? Actually, I don't know his age. And he told me his feelings. I'm not going to go public about that. He told me that his feelings about whatever. And I said, you know what? I have a buddy of mine that said that he's not really an atheist, but he's kind of an atheist. And we debate sometimes in a friendly way. But
Yeah.
ultimately, what I'm trying to show people is, and like I told him, he knows how strongly I believe in my God. He knows how strongly my faith is. And he knows I believe in living by example. You get what I mean? And I was talking about you.
Yep.
And I said that's how I operate. I live by example because I don't believe that we should have to Bible thump people, okay? To get our message across. In fact, I believe far too many of us have been doing that, and that's the wrong way to go about to be able to reach people. I don't believe I'm going to be able to reach you or reach anybody I know. And I'm talking about my close friends. Let's be honest. In my walk of life I've had before I was a Christian was not the best of life. So the people I know, I'm not going to be able to approach them in that sense. Do you get what I mean? So I approach everybody the same way I'd want to be approached, with just me being myself. With that being said, I'm always going to defend my God and I'm always going to defend my beliefs. And like I said, nothing will ever change my beliefs. I am willing to go to the point to where somebody can have a gun to my head and say, "Do you still believe in your God?" And I'm still going to say yes, because
So
that's how strongly I believe in him.
what I'm just asking out of interest, at what point do you declare that brainwashed? Because if you've got an omnipotent God that you believe and trust in, and
Mm-hmm.
everything around you is falling apart and turning to shit, and you believe he's the creator
Everything
of
around me
all,
can go bad, but yet somehow, Mal, somehow I am okay and my family's okay. Even
and that
whenever we're not okay, we're still okay. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's where my faith comes in.
okay, yeah, in a sense, I can understand it, but I would expect you to be able to understand when I say this God you speak of, to my mind, is an utter failure. I mean, what has he succeeded in? What part of what he fucking did is good? I don't get
Well,
it. As long as I'm all right, he's good.
I mean, and that's where me and you are always going to have that line in the stand, because I've known you for how many years now, Mal? You knew me
Four,
before I was
five,
a Christian, even.
yeah, we're talking 4 or 5
You
years.
know, you first met me when I still wasn't a Christian.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I can understand that, but I'm still gonna stay strong. I'm still
And
gonna stay strong in my faith.
for as long as that works for you, I say well done.
Mm.
All I'm saying is I'm a little jealous over here, as those explanations don't work for me. I
Right. And I get that. And I think that a lot of that boils down to the way I view things in a way you view things. Because I'm going to view things from a spiritual sense. For instance, I can have a bad day at work and everything be tense around me. The whole environment be completely tense. And me be on the verge of feeling like whatever, like an anxiety attack or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'll start praying or slightly singing to him in my head or whatever, right? And I start feeling better. And whatever's going on don't affect me because I'm at peace in my mind. And that's an example of how I view things. Do you get
But
what I mean?
someone in your predicament talks about yoga,
Hmm.
and that helps them.
Sure.
Someone else talks about heroin.
Nah, come on
Heroin.
now.
While I don't agree, I'm not advising anyone to do heroin. Someone survives their day by saying, "Hey, at the end of the day, I can do this, and all will be better."
Right.
And
I mean,
it
all I'm
doesn't
saying
mean
is,
it's good. It doesn't mean it's
all I'm
right.
saying is, to me, we're probably never going to agree on that concept.
No, I
But
think you're
to
right.
get back, because I only got like 5 minutes left, Mal.
Sure.
But to get back to the point, right? Take this bottle of water, right? And when I say playing God, take it as the creator in the sky, then. Take it as the thing that you view it. These people have no right to mess with. Okay, so you want to believe in Mother Nature. They have no right to mess with Mother Nature. They have no right to mess with God's creation. They have no right to play with this stuff. And that's just the way I view it, because any way they do it could be potentially harmful long term, or the investors have wrong things towards it. And I believe that that's going to be harmful towards our kids and harmful towards us. You get what I mean?
Yep. So, unfortunately, in this realm we live in, it seems that God, gold, oil, and drugs, things that are worth money, rule
Do you know who the God of this world is biblically?
Satan.
Right. So you keep saying, why is this happening? Why is that happening? And I tell you that people have the ability to come to Christ or live in the flesh. When you live in the flesh, you're walking with Satan, who's a god of this earth.
So I say to you, and not to start an argument, I say, where did this Satan character come from?
Well, we both know that
Who
that would
raised him?
be.
Who taught him? We
We
know
both
who it
know
would
that
be.
that would be the fallen angel.
No, we know that would be God that created Lucifer
Mm-hmm.
and then decided to banish him this way. And
Mm-hmm.
he decided to act upon, because we're getting
We've
very
done this. We've
now.
done this. We've done this discussion on our show, Mal, already.
So that omnipotent God of yours, mate, I have a few questions for. I mean, I really do. I'd love to interrogate him.
I know, and I know, and you know that I pray for you all the time. I do.
Well, thank you for that, mate. But I'd urge you not to waste your time.
No, you can't say that, because you're like family to me, man. You're one of the few
No,
people
I
that
love
I
you.
know that
I get it.
you could fly to America and know that you can knock on my door and be like, "Hey, I'm
Hey,
over
I
in your
will.
state."
I'll be coming to America, mate. I have a friend I went to school with who knows how terrified I am of flying.
Hmm.
So we haven't made an exact date yet, but for all intents and purposes, I could buy the ticket tomorrow.
Right, right.
And there's nothing holding me back now. Not that I wish Tama was still here. I really do. But
Oh,
now,
yeah. I got something to tell you whenever we kill this later. Um, that happened today, but Tarma, it just reminded me of that. But remember, let me just say this to our audience, and I hope you could agree with me on this. Me and you may not agree on spiritual things, but I'm sure we could agree on this.
I think we agree upon much more than we disagree upon.
No, we definitely do. We've proven that. We've proven that. But um, we need to hold and realize what the teacher unions are pushing. You know what I mean? What the Department of Education is pushing, what the Department of Health, the scientists, and what they're really doing. Don't just read like this little label in the bowl that they have. Read that little fine print around the bottle, that
That's
little
the
fine
important
print,
part. Yeah.
to see what's really going on.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
The important part's written so you need a magnifying glass to see it.
Exactly. I mean,
Nonsense.
why do you think these bills are so ungodly, like long, just stacks of paper? You know what I mean? Do you really think they're reading all that?
Of course not.
Hell no, they're not reading it. They're just
I
signing it.
know I'm not. I know I'm not. I do see some people when I'm in the shopping centre reading because I do see them doing that, but I don't think most people. I've never needed glasses or anything, but gee, I reckon within the next couple of years I will, because
I
my
I
eyes.
I have I normally wear reading glasses. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm far off needing them too, because sometimes I have to, blink and focus my eyes. They don't just do it the way they used to. So, at 47, mate, most people I went to school with do have reading glasses. I think the majority of them do now.
No doubt, no
I,
doubt. I mean, and I hope with this episode, when I put it all together for everybody that's watching, anybody, because I'm hoping that you'll continue the stream so that I could do my thing afterwards or whatever, or leave it
I'll
up so I
end
can do
it.
it.
I'll end it, but I'll leave it up. That's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just remember that. Hold our know what's really going on and ask questions about what's really going on. That's the
Sure.
only way we're gonna stop what's gonna happen, and that's why I'm gonna put together this episode the way I am. It's gonna be the bonus features, what I mentioned with the artificial reefs and waves, with the artificial rain they created, snow, the actual debunking of conspiracy theories, and the actual truth of the matter, the pros of it, the potential cons of it. And by the way, in true Mike's Random Thoughts special style, I added a bonus feature part of it that's going to go into the history of the CIA when they were formed, what they were doing, as well as MI5 and what they were doing.
And can we
Um,
reiterate while you're on that topic, the first time the terms conspiracy and theorist were used together in a sentence was to describe the people that did not believe the official report of the JFK assassination. When people saw his head go
mm,
back into the left, which suggests that shot come from somewhere 2 o'clockish on his right, when we said, no, 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 the only guy that fired any shots was behind him, the people that said, hold on, that's anti physics. If
right,
you're shot from behind, your head doesn't go back into the left. They were the people to be called conspiracy theorists. So, what is a conspiracy theorist? Someone that doesn't believe the official bullshit narrative when they
right.
see a man's head go back into the left, and someone says the only shots that were fired come from behind him.
Mm,
Well, hold on a minute. That would make his head go forward and to the, left, forward to the left.
right.
But
I mean, and
our
that's something that we might have to go into eventually, because that's like this episode is part of that idea that I had going into other areas other than politics, and that's why I wanted to do the weather manipulation. There's stuff about HARP that's going to be included in mind warfare and mental manipulation is going to be included in it as well. Going back to doing interesting projects such as what you were talking about, the JFK thing. I might, depending like what I told you, I'm toying with the idea of doing a special on dinosaurs as well, both from my belief structure and yours.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
wow,
All kinds of interesting ideas that I'm turning around, working with. I'm also working with the idea of possibly doing one on the Bermuda Triangle, because I found something that finally figured it out on what it really is. They finally actually figured out what causes it.
well, I'll be interested to hear about that.
Yeah,
I really
we're gonna
will
do
be,
one.
because that's
We're
a
gonna do
great.
that one on that one as well.
Clearly, a lot of unexplainable shit's gone on there, or at least unexplainable.
Actually, it has to do with the weather.
Yeah, well, clearly, it does have
It
to do.
does. It does. They said that it's a. I forget the term. I have it written down for later for when I do the research on it. But it's a certain term that they use, and it's a weather pattern that occurs in certain environments, and that's one of the environments it happens in. And what happens is almost like a tornado effect.
Yep.
of how a tornado has suction going into it.
Yep. Like
Only it happens in water, and instead of going into it, it spits everything out back into the air, and then
like a
sucks it
reverse
back down into it,
control effect. Like a vortex going the
up
like
and then
when we
back
pull the
down into
plug.
it.
Yeah, I get it. Well, that's very interesting, Mike. We've been an hour and 5 minutes, so
Right, and that's the thing. I had to keep in mind that the bonus features that we're going to attach to this itself is around an hour long. So as total is going to be 2 hours long.
all right. Well, I'll kill this, mate. I'll get out there and do some more deliveries and stuff, and I'll send you a message when I get back.
No doubt, man. I appreciate it. Good luck with your deliveries, and then give me a call just on a regular, man. Just to chit chat with me and the wife and the kids.
Will do for sure.
All right, be safe, brother. All right.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good night, mate.
Always later.
Later.